Hey everyone, we're taking a look at Mushroom 11. I'm here with Ite Corinne.
Hi everyone.
So he's the developer of the game, and you're doing this just by yourself, or are you working with anyone?
I'm working with an artist called Simon Kono,
Okay.
who is soon coming back from a year trip around the world, which is an entire different story. And also recently my wife Julia joined me at the company, and so it's still a very, very small, tight group.
Okay. So why don't you tell me about this game, kind of explain what I'm doing here. I played it briefly at PAX, but we're kind of pushing this thing around, but we're not really pushing it, right?
Exactly.
You want to explain what this is all about?
So in this game you are an amorphous blob, and the only way you can control yourself is by removing cells. In fact, you're actually not pushing, you're just destroying pieces. But as you destroy the pieces, they immediately regrow. So you always maintain the size and the mass of this amorphous organism. But as you remove cells, you can also shape it, or even split it and reattach it. And that kind of opens up a lot of opportunities for pretty unique puzzles that this kind of alternate physics allows you to do.
So a lot of this is I'm kind of like shaping this thing to. You can see here how it's kind of rolling when I make it too tall. So basically, to move yourself around, you have to make this kind of lopsided thing like this, and make sure the weight is distributed in a way that he's gonna fall. I don't know why I'm calling it he, but that it's gonna fall into wherever you want it to be.
Exactly.
So am I trying to get this? There we go. So what was the inspiration for this game? Where did this idea come from?
Right. So this started as a global game jam game back in 2012, and there was a theme there that was the snake eating its own tail. It's called Ouroboros,
right?
Which is this ancient symbol of the cycle of life and whatnot. And I was really intrigued by looking at the symbol, thinking about the destruction as the mean on control, really, rather than having direct control over your thing, your guy. In fact, you don't have any control over it. You only have kind of indirect control using destruction.
Right, so when I erase, it's just kind of growing wherever it feels like growing, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
I mean, I assume it's not wherever it feels like, but as far as I'm concerned, it's doing whatever it wants.
It is pretty random, and there is, like, let's just say it's kind of a guided random. And that's, in fact, after I made the first few prototypes back at NYU in the Global Game Jam event, it felt very fungal. You know, that's the origin of the game and the story. In fact, the fact that it just felt very organic.
So yeah, it does. It feels like, and it's especially since it's this weird green thing, it feels very much like this living fungus kind of thing. I really can't get up here. This is very frustrating.
No,
so what are these guys I'm collecting? These little blue things. They've been absorbing into me, but I don't know what's because this is a very early build, right? This is a
this is pretty early, yeah. And by the way, yeah, you were.
There we go.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of takes time, and this is just the first minute or 2 minutes of play, takes time to understand this game, is that, unlike a lot of other games, you have to split your attention between a lot of pieces. In fact, you could have hundreds of different cells across the screen, and all of them have the capacity of growth just as any other one.
Right, like that switch I hit before.
Exactly. You went through it very, very fast, but that's one of the things I'm trying to teach in that puzzle, is that splitting is something that you need to be aware of, but it's also very helpful. A lot of challenges are based around the fact that you need to split in order to solve them.
So how much of a story is there in this game? Is it just kind of all very abstract, or is there a story that's going to kind of come out as you play the game.
Right. So first, once you got that creature, so I want to go back to your previous question.
Oh,
about
right.
The creatures, and that's an entire design story in itself. What
that worked out really well. I didn't know. I did that by accident. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just got excited that worked out so well.
That was exactly what I wanted you to do, because, for example, again, it seems like you know what you're doing.
Well, I played it at PAX, so I played the same level.
But definitely, it's one of those things that people almost subconsciously understand what they're doing by the fact that I'm trying to teach the fact that you have this very strong skeleton. You look very amorphous and almost gelatinous, but you are really this creature with a very strong skeleton. So clamping onto a rock in this case is something that you can use in order to solve that specific puzzle and a lot of other puzzles along the way.
So
collecting
the collections.
Right. So these creatures, to me, are like breadcrumbs.
Okay.
They kind of mark the way of where you need to go, but also they have a very they are part of the story, and that'd be a segue into the discussion about the narrative here. But the idea is that you collect these DNA pieces, samples, and that is part of the story. That kind of like defines who you are. And let's just say this is as much as I can tell without ruining too much of the story. As for the story, so what I did is I wrote this pretty elaborate story around the mushroom, and what it does, and who or what created it, and I decided at some point that I just want to not really tell that story, and instead of like giving you like a set of dialogue boxes of what happened in the world and what destroyed the world, instead I'm laying out a lot of posters, images that teach you about teach you about what happened in the world, but in a very, very hinted way. Also in a
so it's very open to interpretation.
Exactly, and the way that it also is completely random or in arbitrary order. It is based. All the images that you collect later in the game are based on the location that you collected that image. It could be like a newspaper shred or a tombstone or I don't know, ads, and these things are relevant to wherever you found them, but you don't really know what time they really I mean, something happened in the world and you don't really know each of the images when or what it relates to, and that is exactly open to interpretations. And I have my own version of the story,
right? And
I feel that not everybody, frankly, cares.
And what your version is?
Yeah, it's like that's an entire different discussion of like the story in some games is superimposed, like almost forced, and I feel like my story is actually, I feel, pretty interesting. And if you get it, that's wonderful. I'd be honored. And if you don't, then fine. You enjoy whatever it is that you enjoy in the game.
But you're you're going to give a very open-ended, just give people something to kind of make their own story if they feel like it, or figure out your story if that's what they want to
Exactly.
do.
And I don't tell, at no point I will actually let them know if they got my version of the story. It's completely open-ended.
Will you tell me, like off camera? Can I know what your story is?
I'm not sure what the right.
I caught you off guard with that.
It's right now. I've been going through a lot of very, very kind requests to tell the secret, and so far I haven't given the secret.
Okay,
but let's discuss this further. I might cave in.
Okay, so where are we still in?
Nice,
oh no, I died. So we're still in chapter 1 here, right?
Yeah. So chapter 1 is, well, obviously you can see that the game is not easy. It is a game that I'm not trying to make your life necessarily super easy here.
Right.
But you definitely get the controls, which is great. And I want every challenge to feel like it is you've overcome something hard. Let's just say it's a challenge. I'm
Right.
not even the way that the checkpoints are laid out in the game.
Right.
It is
These little
not
guys.
trivial. I mean, it is sometimes hard to get to the next checkpoint.
Right.
And now you've reached the boss, the first boss. Which
Okay,
is
so I definitely did not see this at PAX. And now he's shooting lava bombs at me.
Yep. This is I call this the fire lily.
Okay. Am I trying to get over him or kill him?
You are trying to kill him by getting all the
Oh,
seeds.
I see.
So-
These things.
And again, going back to those creatures that we talked about before.
Right.
Technically, what you're trying to do here is absorb organic DNA samples.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's all these seeds that you see here. So in order to destroy this boss and other bosses as well, and every creature in the world, you basically try to
Try
get
to-
their essence.
Right.
Which in the essence in this case is the seeds.
This is very interesting.
Wow,
didn't know-
you did this in record time. I actually, I hope people don't think that this is too easy.
I didn't
because
actually.
I've
I
seen-
didn't know there was a boss. But yeah, I really enjoy this game a lot. So I'm getting the hang of it pretty quickly. Here.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of things here are kind of like you can see that there's a lot of work to be done.
Mhm.
So a lot of design elements are going to change along the way. I still have like 6 or so months before starting the launch campaign, but yeah, like bosses is something that is very dear to me. Kind of
Mhm.
like someone who grew up playing games in the 90s, so it felt to me like I have to have bosses just because I really like bosses.
Right.
You know?
Let's see if I can do this. See, so I
Nice.
did a good job with the boss, but now it's there's still like it's I almost said something.
Do it, say
but
it.
I almost said Dark Souls, where
Yeah.
it's like even the simple things like don't get much easier. You still have to pay attention. You don't, you can't just like, even though this is like a very simple little pit to get over that I
Mhm.
did a bunch of before. It's still like I can't just like kind of half pay attention. I have to like kind of put my whole attention on it and figure out how to get over this thing. So you mentioned you're about 6 months away from starting to figure out launch stuff. Where's this coming from to? PC and Mac?
It's gonna come to PC, Mac, Linux, as well as various handhelds, and I'm definitely looking to all sorts of touchscreens. I've been talking to platforms as well, because
Mhm.
that's something that is personally very interesting to me.
So how would this work on like consoles, you mean?
Right, but obviously not. One thing that is pretty obvious right now, that it has to have some sort of pointer control.
Right.
So I would love to see it on the Vita
Okay.
and the Wii U as well.
Yeah, those definitely sound like they could be a lot of fun. When so 6 months around?
Around.
For
So
first,
I'm
like,
looking
PC
around the end of the year
stuff? Okay.
for release, but it all depends on porting and how long it's going to take to make this work well and feel natural on each of the different platforms. Because
Right.
I really want this to feel like it's at home for each of the different.
I always feel like I'm on the edge of failure with this. Like just always like you're falling off a cliff and grabbing on with your fingertips.
Doesn't it feel great?
It does. It does feel great. And I think I like Chris said, who played it at PAX as well.
Mhm.
He said like places like here, it feels kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog, where you're just kind of like shooting through these little paths.
Yeah.
Because once it's just like kind of like a warp thing, because you don't have to guide it at all. You just have to keep it going.
And also, I can say that a lot of these things in the game, like the tunnels here, I almost like stumble upon them.
The idea of them?
Yeah, because so the way it started, even like as far as 2012, when I just made the prototype, is I used my previous knowledge to come up with puzzles, because I've played and made different platform games, and all I knew about platform games is just moving platforms and whatnot.
Right.
So
yeah, you don't have a lot of experience with fungus-based platformers.
Exactly. And so even in the first Global Game Jam version that I put, it was very, very basic. I frankly didn't really know what to do with. I mean, I felt like this is something really interesting in front of me, but all I knew to do was moving platforms and rotating wheels and lava pits that you need to kind of jump across, only with no jump.
Right.
And other elements that I was almost familiar with. And then I kind of started exploring this world, and I still do to date. It's nice.
Oh no! Oh no! I panicked. I like that's kind of a sad thing. Did you see just like watching it fall into the lava there and keep regrowing, but not regrow fast enough? I felt kind of bad for it.
I feel like this is one of the things that I really enjoy about this game, is that you need to embrace sacrifice and death. You need to understand that there are some cells that are going to die just to give life to other pieces.
Right.
And I know it's kind of grim and cynical, but I kind of like that metaphor, and it works very well with the story.
It definitely fits with the original Game Jam theme that you were mentioning, the Ouroboros.
Exactly. I think that is even before I kind of knew what I was going for. That I think that kind of guided my original designs. So yeah, going back to the whole puzzle design that is still kind of evolving in my mind, is that I sorry, just
I know you're.
It's so interesting to
you're
watch.
Using me as a playtester right now.
No, I mean you're doing really well, and if you were a playtester, then I feel like okay, my work is done here. I mean, in this puzzle, exactly that's what you needed. You needed to use a small piece of yourself as a
that like little lock.
Yeah, but immediately remove it in time for you to go over the bridge. So that for me was, and having failed 2 times before succeeding it's a perfect amount, if not even pretty low actually. So and then going back to the puzzle, so I started putting all these things in the game that just for fun, to see what happens. I put like this long tunnel, and that felt really good. Like almost kind of like you can shut off your brain for a bit, just go through, like extrude through it, and that feels really compelling and just fun. And so this is a big part of the game that kind of almost happened by mistake, and that is relevant to a lot of different challenges as well. Even later in this level, you could see that a lot of things that I just tried and they worked. And of course, there are many challenges that I tried and they didn't work very well because they didn't fit. This is one of those images,
story things.
Yeah. So if you look into the details and the scribble, you'll get a little bit of what happens, and if you add all the different components, I think you'll be able to kind of figure out what happened. And it's a pretty elaborate story, and yeah, I'm not going to tell it too much.
Okay.
Anyway.
Great. So that's Mushroom 11. So you keep an eye out for it towards the end of the year on PC, Mac, Linux, and hopefully some other platforms as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, it was really great to have you.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Basically, there are 6 gravity fields in this world, and you're not sort of, you're just switching on and off different gravities. There's only
Right.
one that's on at a time. So right now we're in the blue gravity, and